This is From Justin to Kane, a podcast where Mike Robertson and Bob LaRue watch one critically acclaimed film and one terrible film and talk about how they are the same. Also, definitely something I want to talk about on this episode is Mystery Science Theater 3000 and how you love it and I hate it. It's just distracting. And the audio of the film is so low so that you can hear the people riffing.
Yes.
But what they say is not that funny. Were you chuckling at the riffs when you watched Mac and Me?
Sometimes I was.
Not once did I laugh. There's some real duds, and by real duds, all of them. They were all real duds.
Yeah, I don't know. You kind of have to get into the zone. I remember the first time I watched it, I was weeping laughing, but I don't remember what part, because the second time I watched it, I did. I barely chuckled, so.
Interesting.
So who knows?
Did you watch Mystery Science Theater 1000 or whatever, the original show?
I did, yeah.
Back in the day. It better?
I remember it being pretty funny, but it also might just be bad.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The biggest thing that pissed me off was the audio, because I wanted to just watch the movie, but then there's these three little silhouetted heads in the lower right corner moving, talking, twice the volume of the film.
Yeah, that's great.
No, it's terrible. It's a bad way to watch a movie.
Well, we disagree, I think.
Yeah, that's okay. I have a question for you. You look kind of chilly. Are you shivering from how cold that open was?
Oh, good.
Haha. Put a sweater on, Mike.
I was actually, we were actually sitting outside. We have a little pool. We're sitting outside.
Oh, that's right. You bought a kiddie pool.
Yeah. It was starting to rain. So.
Well, it's free water, isn't it?
I guess it is.
Get a funnel.
But we actually spent a good amount of time just trying to put in some warm water into it so that it wasn't just freezing water from the hose. And then as soon as we finished and sat in there, it started raining.
Well, it's not even that hot out.
No, it wasn't even that hot out when we started.
Yeah, like, I was working last night and I had like a parka on, like full on like winter gear. And it was, it's August, 6th, 7th or whatever.
Yes.
It was fucking chilly, man. It was fucking chilly.
I know the summer's over, man.
Now we're in the lightning season.
Yeah, now we're in lightning season. Boo, lightning.
All right, Mike. What are the two movies we're friggin' doing this week?
Well, should we do like an intro or something?
Oh yeah, fuck me, I guess. Wow, that's even colder. That opening was so cold we didn't even introduce the show. No. We just went right into it. Yeah, let's introduce. Yeah, you do it, Mike.
Hey everybody, welcome to From Justin to Kane. It's me, Mike, and with me as always is the incorrigible Bob.
Yeah, you can't get rid of me yet, can you?
Nope. And Bob,
you try.
And Bob just celebrated his birthday, like having basically a bender week. It sounds like so.
Yeah, I'm extremely hungover and nauseous as we speak. Yeah. So buckle up, people.
And what better time to talk about Mac and Me?
Yeah.
The E.T. ripoff, and then also Scott Pilgrim versus the World, a comic book adaptation.
Well, isn't the slogan for Mac and Me, the most intoxicating film in the world?
Yes.
Yeah, so, buckle up, everybody. It's a great movie.
You're like friggin' Mac, who just gets drunk on Coca-Cola all day.
But I also look like a gross old skinny, shriveled up baby raisin.
Yeah.
With extremely tanned, leathery skin.
And like a weird mouth.
Super weird mouth. You know what's fascinating? The movie was made for $16 million.
Seems like a lot.
6 years after E.T., but the puppet technology definitely was much worse.
It seems like it, yeah.
But way more McDoubles.
So many more McDoubles in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about Mac and Me from like, what year did that come out?
1988.
Yeah, and then Scott Pilgrim versus the World just came out in 2010.
Wow.
Time flies. So it just celebrated his 10-year anniversary just last year.
That's right. And Mac and Me, it hasn't celebrated, a notable anniversary in quite a while. So 2018 would have been the 30-year anniversary.
Yeah.
I
I remember watching Mac and Me, though, as a kid a lot.
What? You watched it as a kid?
Oh, yeah. We rented it from the video store many times. I saw this movie so many times as a kid.
Do you know what MAC stands for? It's an acronym. I bet you can figure it out. It's pretty simple.
Something alien creature.
Yeah, mysterious alien creature.
Yeah, there you go.
The guy doesn't even have a name, just an acronym.
And they don't say mysterious alien creature in the movie, do they?
No, they don't. And like the government agents that are chasing them never say anything.
Yeah.
Specific like that. But then in all the literature, it's mysterious alien creature, so that's kind of interesting.
All of the literature, the accompanying
Oodles of
book.
literature. Yeah. The phantasmagorical companion novels that came out.
Yeah.
Well, shit. We should get into these two movies. I will say it was my first time for both, whereas these were repeat watches for Mike.
Oh yeah.
And I had a good time, no matter what, minus the Mystery Science Theater part, because that's the only way I could find Mac and Me.
Yeah, we watched the Mystery Science Theater version that's on Netflix.
Yeah, 3000. So season 80 or whatever.
Yeah,
that they're on. Yeah, it was a rough go, but I sat through it anyways, listening to people riff. Not unlike what you and I do, Mike, but I don't listen to this podcast, so. Well, let's start talking about the history. Let's start with Scott Pilgrim.
Bob just looks like he got hit by a car.
I am literally a husk.
Yeah, you look,
of a man.
You look like
I'm
you
hollow
are in
and
a bad
dead.
place right now.
I am in a rough spot, everybody. Yeah, I'm on 3 hours of sleep. I was doing an overnighter after binge drinking the night before. Woof. It's been a tough go. Turning 24 is probably the most painful age I've turned so far, but it was all self-induced, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But you know what? I'm here. I'm ready. I got my non-bubbly water.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm ready to friggin' talk the shit out of these movies and talk about how they're really identical.
They're so identical, yeah.
I have a quick question because I watched Scott Pilgrim like a month ago or like 6 weeks ago. Is there any product placement in Scott Pilgrim?
So much.
That's what I thought. I was like, if I remember correctly, well, that's the first similarity. I'm just going to take that away from you because I know it's on your list. Probably.
I was literally just, looking at that.
Oh, wow. Wow. I'm so sorry. On. You know what? You say it.
No, you go on.
Okay. Well, there's pretty blatant product placement in Mac and Me, and also same with Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, and because in Mac and Me, it's McDonald's
and
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
In Scott Pilgrim, it's more Canadian. They do mention Amazon.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And then there's also just a bunch of Canadian and Toronto, mostly just Toronto-based stores and restaurants, like Pizza is real. Second Cup.
Yeah. Well, maybe another similarity is that both films have a very specific geographical sort of, it's explicitly stated where the movie takes place, because there's a scene with the family in the van and they're driving into like Sacramento or whatever in California. And they're like, wow, look. And then same with Toronto.
It can't be that explicitly stated if you just said Sacramento or whatever.
I don't know. I remember the green sign, the mom's driving the van, the alien's in the back, and it's like, I think Sacramento.
Yeah.
Or LA. I don't know, man.
But they came from Chicago.
Yes. Which is close to Toronto?
Kind of.
Well, there's another similarity right there.
Yeah, kind of.
Huh?
Well, they kind of are always pointing at a city in both of these movies. They're both talking, they always bring up Chicago and Toronto. So, yeah, very, very regional, we'll say.
Yes, yeah. Well, let's start talking about Scott Pilgrim. Because okay. I also, maybe I should just paint a little picture for the listeners at home, for all the canines, all the colorblind canines. Mike is sitting in his office, and behind him is approximately, I'm going to guess, 28 inches wide by 16 inches tall poster of Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah.
And he's had it for years.
Yeah, it's like an illustration. I bought it off of mondotees.com.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Mondo's great.
Yeah.
Just be real. What was the price tag? Do you remember offhand? Steep? Was it steep?
No.
As steep as that cliff was that the kid fell off of in Mac and Me?
No, it wasn't that bad. I think it was like $40 or $50.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, and then it's in an IKEA frame, so the whole thing, I don't know. I mean, it's a good centerpiece for the room. It really ties the room together or whatever.
Should we have an IKEA corner?
Sure, yeah, we can have an IKEA corner if you want.
It doesn't need to be right now, but just in the future. I love IKEA. We'll talk about it another
Okay,
time.
we'll have an IKEA corner.
Yeah, very good. Anyways, so yeah, I would say you're like, on a scale of casual to super hardcore, how big of a fan are you of the original graphic novels and the movie?
I have the graphic novels also behind me.
Oh my God, look at that.
They're like right beside
Yes.
right beside the Fellini box set.
Your big dumb head was blocking it, but now I can see it perfectly.
Yeah. So yeah, I have the comics. I've read them a couple times, I think. Seen the movie many times. Probably my second most watched movie.
After what?
Dumb and
What's your
Dumber?
most watched movie?
Probably after Dumb and Dumber.
Ugh.
The movie's great. I don't know. The video game I have only like briefly played.
There's a video game
Yeah, there's a video game.
of Scott Pilgrim?
Yeah.
What?
It's like a side scroller, kind of like you walk left and right and punch people. It's like Final Fight or Ninja Turtles.
On like what, your computer or like your
You can play it on all the systems.
What?
It came out originally on PS3
Oh shit. I had no idea.
as a digital only game, and then you weren't able to play it for like a good 5 or 6 years until just this last year when it came out. They re-released it.
Interesting. Cool. So anyways, you're like definitely a fan.
Oh yeah. I celebrate the films, the soundtracks, the comic books. Yeah, the soundtrack is awesome in this movie.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's outstanding. Okay, sick. Well, like shit. Take us down memory lane here, Mike. What was it like? What's this movie all about?
So Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a movie based on a comic book. The comic book is a series, so I think there's like 6 comics of different names. They were written by Brian Lee O'Malley, who's from Toronto, and the movie was written, produced, directed by Edgar Wright of Shaun of the Dead fame.
Mm-hmm.
So they started getting this film adaptation ready after the first comic came out. So there's 6 books, and after the first volume dropped, Edgar Wright got a hold of it, I think at Comic-Con, and decided, hey, I want to do this because this is really cool. There's a lot of like imagination in this comic that I think would translate to movies.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were working on it for a couple years, and then they started filming it in 2009, from March till August of 2009. And then it came out sometime in like 2010, I think. I saw it in the theater.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Man. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Good for you. I didn't. I watched it on a laptop.
Classic.
Yeah.
It's the way it was intended to be seen.
Yeah, exactly.
The movie had a production budget of like $85 million, $60 million if you take into account tax credits.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a big box office bomb. It did not make back its money.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was
shit.
It was considered a huge bomb at the time.
Well, here's another similarity. Both movies bombed at the box office with
true,
huge
actually.
budgets.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. How much money did it make? About half back?
It made about 50.
Yeah, so
it wasn't like a
just over half.
huge bomb, but I don't. Yeah, obviously they don't want to lose money on movies.
Well, they probably made it all back from these posters that third-party companies are selling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure that the DVDs and all that stuff. I think they always kind of break even.
Mm-hmm.
They're always like, oh, this was a bomb, just so that there's like a narrative to it. But I think a lot of movies really can like break even, unless it's just like such a huge bomb, and then nobody buys the DVDs.
Well, I bet you Mac and Me. I haven't read anything on this, but I bet it made its money back because it became such a cult hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Famously bad, famously fun.
Mm-hmm. And Scott Pilgrim has become a cult movie where they would have midnight screenings and stuff in different places. So I think, in terms of box office, I'm sure it's like climbing. It's getting up there. And it did get good reviews from critics. So it was like a well-received film, but just probably not by audiences who had no context for the movie because the comics weren't like super, super famous. And also, I don't think it was advertised well, from what I understand. Like even the poster that they went with you can't even see Michael Cera's face. There you go.
Okay. Weird. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
And also,
let that be a note for all you would-be filmmakers.
Also, all of the celebs in the movie were not celebs at the time, because it's got a stacked cast. Like, it's actually got a really, really amazing cast considering, but nobody.
Yeah, there's
knows.
a lot of heavy hitters, but I guess, they were all kind of on the brink of their success.
Yeah, exactly. So they were all just about to break. Yeah, so I was wrong. He didn't get the graphic novel at Comic-Con. He got it when he was on his press tour for Shaun of the Dead. Not that it really matters.
Well, the canines really, shit all over us when we get stuff wrong on our Instagram. Yeah. Those vicious comments that they leave. Well,
you also get a sense of just like when the comics were coming out and when they were starting to work on the movie. I think Shaun of the Dead was like, 2004 or 5 or 6? Something like that, 2006, I think.
4, 5, 6, 7.
8, 9,
2008, 10. Maybe 9. Yeah. Fuck, man, 1999, I don't know.
Hot Fuzz, I think, was 2007 or 8.
Isn't Hot Fuzz your nickname?
It is, yeah.
Let's just leave that there, just so everyone knows. Mike Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Yeah.
So Brian Lee O'Malley made 6 of these books, and they started making the movie after the first one. And so the story for the comic and the movie were kind of being developed at the same time. And so as a result of that, several lines from the movie or from the scripts for the movie ended up in the comics. So it wasn't just kind of like a one-to-one. It was just like, we're just taking this comic book and making a movie of it. It's like sometimes the movie kind of influenced the comic too. Because all of the comics have a different name. Scott Pilgrim's Finest Hour being one of them, the last one.
Mm-hmm. Did he like have any involvement with the screenplay?
Brian Lee O'Malley?
Yeah.
He was like very involved with it. Yeah, he like added a bunch of lines to like some of the drafts. It was written by Edgar Wright and a guy named Michael Bacall, who you might know from 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street.
What about 23 Jump Street, 24 Jump Street?
No, but they are making Weird Science. They're making a remake of that he's writing. And remaking The Running Man that he is writing also.
Oh, fun. I love The Running Man.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So anyway, that's so Brian Lee O'Malley was involved with the script a little bit. Yeah, Scott Pilgrim's Finest Hour, the 6th book, did not.
Mm-hmm.
None of the stuff from that book appeared in the film because it was not even like written or drawn by the time the movie came out. So
just like Game of Thrones, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes the production sort of usurps the source material. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. This is an example of that. And also, I watched this movie on the Blu-ray, and there was some deleted scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So it did have the original ending, which they wrote and shot for the movie, where Scott gets back together with Knives instead of getting together with Ramona.
Right.
And it is kind of like a downer ending because Ramona's just like sad and then she leaves. And then
you know what's funny? So watching the film, I was like, man, it feels like he could go either way here.
Really?
Like they both felt appropriate in my mind. I was like, yeah, like being with Knives would be just fine with me. I don't know. They both kind of felt like good options.
Yeah.
Which is weird, but
yeah,
I don't know.
To me, it seems strange that he would do that, considering he's kind of ripped on the entire film for being with basically a teenager.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you really have a way with words, Mike. My God.
She is literally a teenager. So
yeah. And he's a pervert. Yes.
He's kind of a pervert, yeah.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim versus all the pervert haters.
All the perv haters, yeah, they hate perverts. What can I say?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they filmed that ending, and then they did some screen tests, and people were just kind of like a bit sour on the ending. And the last book, they changed that ending to have it so that Scott and Ramona get together. Like if you read the comics, Scott's relationship with Ramona is like It's really well drawn, so you really get like a sense of like their relationship. It's not just like he's kind of has a crush on this girl that he just met, and like it takes a week of their life, like the movie.
Mhm.
It's like you get the sense that they're together for like a couple of months or for even like a year. So yeah, the comics really stretch things out, whereas the movie is like seems like it takes place in a couple of days.
Mhm.
So in the book, yeah, Scott and Ramona get together, and then after that, they were like, "Oh, we should maybe change the ending." So they reshot the ending months after the original was filmed. Also, Edgar Wright lived in Toronto for a full year before making the movie, which is kind of wild.
Wow, as like a method director.
Yeah, because I think he was like, well, this is like set in Toronto, and in many ways, Toronto is the fifth character of the film.
Ugh, go away, leave. Ugh.
Also, apparently,
Jesus.
he was living in Quentin Tarantino's guest house before
Toronto?
that. No, before that,
Oh,
when he
In
came to
LA.
LA. Yeah,
wow, that's. Oh, I could see like if he hasn't made a film in America yet, Tarantino's like, oh man, I love your shit. Stay with me. I
Yeah.
could definitely see that happening.
yeah. Well, there's a podcast that I've been working through for the last like couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's the Directors Guild of America podcast. It is,
Oh yeah,
and it's
just with interviews, right? They interview each other.
yeah. So it's no, it's Empire Magazine, the Empire Magazine film podcast.
Oh, okay.
It is a 3 and a however many long hour interview of Quentin Tarantino with Edgar Wright.
Oh wow.
And they basically just the two of them just talk about movies.
Do they not both sort of have insufferable, like personalities?
I think Edgar Wright's just a normal guy.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
And then Tarantino's just like super extra.
Oh yeah.
The whole time.
It's kind of hard to listen to because
He yells a lot.
he yells a lot, and then for whatever reason, he is just on his computer or iPad or something in a very, very echoey room, and it's kind of hellish to listen to.
Can you hear the like his fat fingers typing away, like Googling shit or whatever?
Not that I could hear.
What do you
but
mean on his iPad?
He's just like it's like they're recording of a Zoom call because it came out during the pandemic.
Oh, I see.
So it was just a long interview of him being interviewed over like crappy technology, and it just sounds like garbage. And he's yelling the entire time about like how great his movies are. It's pretty fascinating though.
Well, you know what? I listened to the Joe Rogan and the Armchair Expert interviews with Quentin Tarantino, and it is fun. Like he gets into it, and he's very articulate.
Yeah, he's like
But
passionate.
he's very passionate, but like us, he's the master of talking about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing that really matters. Cool. That's interesting. I guess they were roommates for a while.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, back to this movie. So there's a lot of cool Toronto stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lee's Palace.
Also, you famously lived in Toronto
famously,
very briefly.
I did. Famously, I did. Yeah, and it was shortly after this movie came out, and so
Oh wow.
I went on one or two afternoons. I would went and we tried to find locations from the movie.
That's called a pilgrimage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Nice.
podcast is over. We
A
kind of found the
cinephile
best.
pilgrimage to TO. Ugh. Anyways, that's
good.
awesome. So did you find stuff? Like, did you find locations?
I mean, a lot of them are very easy to find. Like the Honest Ed's is very out in the open. The pizzas, I was trying to find like some of the houses that they shot in, but I think some of those were shot on sets.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, but some of the places where they did shows, Lee's Palace, was like a bar at the time, and it had that mural that was eventually either taken down or painted over or something. And then they reconstructed Lee's Palace, like this bar that I played a show in, I think, when I was in a band. They reconstructed the old bar on a set, and a bunch of like Toronto musicians who were like on set as kind of reference points, I guess, for Toronto. Like the guy from Sloan. Yeah, a lot of them were just like, we got to like keep this and preserve it in a museum, because apparently it was a very, very accurate reconstruction.
Really?
Yeah. Same with another one called The Rocket Club, which I don't remember, but must have been a thing in the early 2000s. Sonic Boom was a record store, and they shot in the record store, but then they also changed it from how it was now. They renovated to make it look like how it used to look, which is kind of strange. So they restored it, which is kind of cool. Michael Cera's from the Toronto area.
Are you, when you were in a band, were you the Scott Pilgrim of your band?
Yeah.
Or was somebody else?
I was definitely, because I was kind of the loosey-goosey one. Yeah. I was the pervert of the group, yeah.
Yeah, the loosey-goosey pervert.
Yeah. So Michael Cera was cast after Arrested Development, pretty much. Edgar Wright saw Arrested Development, was like, he's good. And then the soundtrack has Metric and Broken Social Scene from Toronto. Kid Koala also, I guess, is Canadian. He's a DJ. But then other music, I guess Cornelius, Dan the Automator, and Beck. Beck wrote all of the music for Sex Bob-omb.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And he did it in like a day or two. He just was like, this has to sound like a bunch of people who don't practice enough. So he just kind of like went with his first ideas, but they're good. And the band Sloan, Chris Murphy, like the lead singer of Sloan, was the guitar coach for the actors. So if you watch behind the scenes footage, he's like in a lot of the behind the scenes footage. You're like, hey, it's the guy from Sloan. And he just kind of coached the band on how to play instruments, because they all didn't know how to play instruments and they all had to learn for the movie. So they spent like a couple of months living in Toronto. And I understand it was kind of felt like a big family by the end of the shoot, because everybody just kind of had this pilgrimage, as you said.
That sounds fun. Like if you're just like in a city you're not from with all these other people, and then you basically just get paid to jam. Yeah,
it feels like summer camp.
That's awesome.
We get paid to jam and to do like martial arts training.
Yeah, that's fucking sweet.
Yeah. So they did martial arts training with the guys who worked with Jackie Chan, like their stunt team.
Oh, wow.
And it was filmed by Bill Pope. Like the camera guy was Bill Pope, who was the camera dude for The Matrix.
That's right. And he's shot a lot of legendary stuff.
Yeah, he films a lot of action stuff. I think he also filmed around this time he did Team America.
Did he?
I think Bill Pope did Team America as well.
Oh, I love that.
Because he kind of is good at filming action, so makes sense.
And pervert puppets.
Also, regarding music, Broken Social Scene wrote all of the songs for the band Crash and the Boys. And Metric wrote the song Black Sheep that the Clash at Demon Head play, which is like a good song that they just kind of released as their own thing, I think. It might be on one of their albums, and then they just also have this as this song in this movie. Also, all the bands are named after video game things. Sex Bob-omb is like a Mario thing. The Clash at Demon Head is like a video game. I don't remember it. And Crash and the Boys is a video game. Supposedly, Seth Rogen was supposed to be Scott Pilgrim.
That would not have worked.
Oh, I know.
What a different movie.
I know.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's about it. Here's a similarity between the two movies. Scott Pilgrim loves Coke Zero. Mac and Me loves regular Coca-Cola.
That's right.
So Coca-Cola
everyone loves Coca-Cola in that movie.
Also, there's characters with vegan diets in both movies. Because there's the vegans, like Todd, one of the ex-boyfriends is like a vegan. And there's the vegan police. And then in Mac and Me, Mac eats Coke and Skittles a lot.
Which are both famously vegan snacks.
Yeah.
Along with Oreos. That's a good one. I like that. I like that a lot, Mike. Is it my turn?
Yes.
To talk about Mac and Me, the E.T. knockoff? Okay.
Was this movie like famously an E.T. knockoff? It seems like it when you watch it.
It is. So the intentionality was the producer. Let me read this thing actually, because it's pretty funny. Yeah, there's a little snippet here. So the producer, R.J. Lewis, he was in charge of all of McDonald's advertising campaigns. And he was also like working on the PR for the Ronald McDonald House charities.
Right.
Somehow he was like, Ronald McDonald is more famous than Santa Claus, but E.T. is a close second. And he said the next generation needs their own E.T. And so that's why he started developing Mac and Me as
Weird.
like the next generation's E.T., which is really odd.
Yeah, because it wasn't even like 5 or 6 years later.
Yeah, well, 1982 is when E.T. came out, and 88 is when Mac and Me came out. So it's just a 6-year difference. I wouldn't say that's a generation.
No.
But he also said like he wanted to use his he was super proud of his sort of ownership over the McDonald's brand and a lot of their stuff. He had licenses to, and so he wanted to make a cross promotional thing. There's a legend that McDonald's partially financed the film, which he denies. But they got funding from Golden State Foods, which is a food distributor that distributes to McDonald's. So it's like through whatever sort of vicarious means there were investments made. Yeah. And also apparently Coca-Cola invested too, but that's also denied because I think that's just like terrible PR.
What happens in E.T.? Isn't there like a candy that they eat a lot in that? Like they eat Skittles and Mac and Me. What is the candy that they eat in E.T.?
Oh man, I haven't seen E.T.
It's not like M&Ms.
So
do they eat M&Ms or what do they eat? They eat something like a tiny candy.
I think maybe
they eat Reese's
Drew Barrymore
Pieces.
eats Reese's Pieces. Yeah, I think it's Reese's Pieces. Yeah. Also, so Ronald McDonald is in the film.
Is he ever?
To the chagrin of McDonald's. They like wrote this entire sort of massive contract out, and they were like, yes, you can use our branding and our licensing and our merch and blah, blah, blah. But they're like, whatever you do, Ronald McDonald cannot be in the film. And sure as shit, he's super duper in that movie. And apparently there was like no litigation or sort of legal stuff that happened.
They were just like, damn it, you guys got us again.
Yeah. So this film was this film was the first film to use cross promotion with fast food to develop toys in conjunction with the film's release. Right. So in an odd way, Mac and Me is super innovative because I remember when I was a kid, you know, like Spy Kids would come out and then you get a Happy Meal and like a little shitty toy that was part of that movie. And they stopped doing that in 2006 after the, you know, some really terrible PR mishaps happened with fast food and specifically McDonald's.
Right.
And they kind of pulled back on that. But this film like did basically start a 30-year legacy of like Disney films, children's films getting released, and then Happy Meals having associated toys. So that's like really interesting.
They have those still now though.
Yes, but I think to a lesser like extent than what they used to. I don't eat at McDonald's very often. I honestly don't know what I'm talking about. I haven't had a Happy Meal in like 15 years. Yeah. So I don't know, but I'm sure they have toys. Actually, do they?
Yeah. I was in a McDonald's like, I don't know, whenever, a year ago or something. I remember seeing
you bought yourself a toy?
Oh yeah, gotta get the Happy Meal toy.
You're a man baby?
Yeah, I'm a man baby, yeah.
So interestingly though, RJ Lewis, he was like for a while the only one who had the McDonald's trademark, and it's really hard to like put McDonald's in your film, but he was able to do it kind of early on. So
yeah, it does kind of really stick out.
It's really jarring. And Coca-Cola, like two of the most profitable corporations in the world, are in this movie. It's crazy.
Yeah, they must have thought that they were onto something, but it's like when you look at the alien characters, it's like who wants to see this?
Yeah, it's pretty friggin' jarring. Okay, so it was directed by Stuart Raffel, written by Steve, I don't know how to say this, Feke? Feke. And then Stuart Raffel did the final draft. And basically what happened was RJ Lewis started working on this film, got a script written, hated it, blah, blah, blah. Stuart Raffel gets hired to make the film and direct it. And here's a quote. He said, "I was hired out of the blue, and the producer asked me to come down to the office. So I did. And He had a whole crew there, a whole crew on the payroll. It was amazing. He had the transportation captain, the camera department head, the AD, the production manager. He had everybody hired, and I said, well, what's the script? And he said, we don't have a script. I don't like the script. You have to write the script. You're going to have to write it quickly, so prep the movie and write the script on the weekends. And that's basically like how he made the film, and probably a big reason why it's such a shitty thing.
Yeah, it seems a bit rushed.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Both movies were kind of like the movies were being made as the story was being written, you know?
Another interesting fact. So Eric Cruz, the kid in the wheelchair, was actually wheelchair bound. He has spina bifida. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Spina bifida. Yeah, an incomplete closing of the spine and the membranes around the spinal cord during early development and pregnancy. Yep. Okay, well, that's kind of interesting. And that was something that Stuart Raffel felt really was critical to the movie, was to have, somebody who's actually in a wheelchair play a character in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And no one gave a fuck.
Yeah.
He was so proud of it. Every interview he was in, he was talking about it, and nobody cared.
Well, it's good to know that's what happened, though, because generally that's never really the case.
No, absolutely.
And also, like, you don't even really think about it or notice it as the movie goes on, except for the few parts where it's like very wheelchair based.
Yes. Well, there's a couple car chase sequences that are pretty cool.
Yeah.
But also it's like a ripoff of the bike chase.
Yeah, exactly.
From E.T.
They basically do the bike chase, but in a wheelchair.
Yeah. There was a planned sequel that never came out because the film did so poorly.
Yes.
There's also a brief, uncredited cameo of Jennifer Aniston.
Really?
Yeah.
She's
at the McDonald's. Yeah. She's in the crowd watching the dancing.
Oh, yeah.
And and it's kind of interesting because the scene in which Eric Cruz falls off the cliff.
The iconic scene.
Paul Rudd famously, every time he's on Conan, he's promoting something. He very genuinely says he brought a clip of the movie or the TV show that he's in, and then it's always the exact same clip from Mac and Me.
Yeah.
And for years, I was always like, man, like what movie is that? And now I've seen the scene in context, and I love it. But it's funny because the first time he did it, he was promoting Friends, which is a show that Jennifer Aniston was on.
Oh, well, there you go. Wow.
Isn't that fun? This is just like a fun, like full circle thing.
That's a fun fact.
And I think he did it, almost 20 times.
Yeah, he did it a lot. And then when Conan, when he did his going off the air thing a couple months ago, Paul Rudd did it again.
I know.
It was good.
I saw that clip. It's so funny. I love Paul Rudd. Yes, there's a couple other little snippets. Apparently, I did not check this, but this is one of very few films that has a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, wow.
A 0 is very hard to get.
Yeah. Wait, speaking of the scene when the kid goes down the hill on the wheelchair.
Yep.
And then goes off a cliff and lands in the lake.
Mm-hmm.
In both movies, there's a character that falls a far distance while on wheels.
Yes. That's right.
Because in Scott Pilgrim, what's his face?
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans' character goes down, he grinds on the rails at Casa Loma.
Well, I guess the other thing I want to say is both films have very abrupt, sporadic moments of intense violence.
Yeah.
Kind of, and then interspersed with sort of like more jovial, silly stuff.
Yeah,
because
they both have
both
like
movies are really silly.
They're both very silly, yeah.
But very violent.
And there's also like a cartoony logic to like the physics sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's the part where Mac gets hit by the car and then he's like flattened onto the front of the windshield, kind of like a Looney Tunes character.
Mm-hmm.
And then similarly in the other movie, like a character will get thrown into a building in like a comical way.
That's great, Mike. You're really good stuff. Good stuff.
You you seem wiped out.
Dead inside. I'm here, buddy. I'm here. I drank a whole pot of coffee and it did nothing.
Wow.
I was just like still fucking zoinked. I also watched like 2 Sandra Bullock movies this morning.
What?
I couldn't sleep.
Which ones?
while you were sleeping.
Which you were not.
No, I was definitely not sleeping. I was watching somebody else sleep.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks notice.
Okay.
Both really good time.
Who's in while you were sleeping again?
Bill Pullman.
Right.
Yeah. And Peter Gallagher. Or no, Gallagher.
Yeah. What happens in that one? Does someone get married while they were sleeping or something?
So she works at a Chicago train station as like a booth operator. And there's this guy who's like a high profile lawyer that she like has a crush on. And then she never makes a move. And then he gets pushed onto the track by muggers on Christmas Day. So she runs and saves his life, but then he gets put into a coma because he hits his head. And through funny happenstance, a nurse overhears her whisper to herself, "I was going to marry him," when he's being pulled away into the ICU and she's not allowed to be there because she's not family. Right. And the nurse hears this, takes it literally, lets her through, introduces her to the family as the fiance. And they're like, "We didn't know Peter was getting married." And then she meets Peter's brother, Bill Pullman, and then they slowly fall in love.
Right.
And then Peter wakes up. It's great, man. Honestly, it's a perfect film.
It's funny that you just synopsized the entire thing. Also, this is like one of those movies where it's like a rom-com, but it's also like pretty creepy.
Yeah,
there's like sociopathic behavior, but it's also romantic.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a pretty profound level of toxicity in a lot of rom-coms that you do need to be cognizant of, because if you just take it at the sort of the face value, there are some really intense implications that are quite disturbing.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like from 1992 to 2006. I feel like there's this weird sweet spot where there was some pretty fucked up rom-coms, which I'm a fan of. Nobody's perfect.
There just was a lot of them.
Yes. Well, I'm also going on like a Reese Witherspoon bender.
Yeah.
Because she was in a couple in the early aughts, and they're fun, man. They're fun.
You're having Spoon Fest?
Oh, yeah. I'm spoon feeding myself.
Yeah.
Wow, clearly I just want to talk about rom-coms more than I want to talk about Mac and me.
Yeah, what does that say
about me as a co-host of this show?
What a surprise.
Let's talk about Fago more, huh? Oh, little fun fact. So the director, Stuart Raffel, kind of looks like Anthony Bourdain. And I just watched the Roadrunner documentary about Anthony Bourdain's life. Quite interesting. Yeah. But anyways, the director kind of looks like Anthony Bourdain. And I was like, oh, isn't that nice? I wish I looked like Anthony Bourdain.
You kind of do.
God bless you, Mike. God bless you. That was your birthday gift to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of look like Anthony Bourdain.
Well, you look more like the human teeth version of Sonic the Hedgehog than Anthony Bourdain. But
I thought, oh Jesus, I love it. I thought you were gonna be like, you kind of look like Mac, just like gross latex gloves stretched over an exoskeleton with eyes that don't really move and a mouth that doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean Mac is like fairly cute, but his family is ooh.
The dad.
When you age, you look like God. You just look like garbage when you're older as an alien. Whatever species they all look like they're mess. They're like just a hot mess.
Yeah, really, really hot mess. Yeah. Also, it seems like on the planet they were on that they got picked up by, really, like, what do they do? What is there to do?
Seems like just kind of wander around.
But what do they eat? What do they... I don't know. And there was like implications or suggestions that their planet was dying.
Yeah.
So it's kind of on its last legs. Not dissimilar to the world that Scott Pilgrim lives in, where there's clearly, climate change happening.
Yeah.
Just by virtue of it happening in Toronto.
That's right, yeah.
So yeah. Two dying planets, two movies.
I've been in Toronto in the summer. It is a hot place.
Hot mess.
It's a hot mess, yeah.
Hot mess. Kind of like Sandra Bullock at the beginning of most of the films I just watched.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or Reese Witherspoon.
Any stories from the cast of like people who played the aliens and what it was like being in those weird looking suits?
No, I
really
couldn't.
Skinny.
Oh yes, rail thin. It's really tough. Like there wasn't a lot of information on the aliens. There were a bunch of puppeteers, but nothing on them. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I don't even know what they were made of. Like, I couldn't find like. I mean, I didn't look that hard, if I'm being totally honest.
I mean,
because again, I'm, a husk of a man this weekend. I really put
truly
myself
are.
through the ringer. You know how the alien dad looks?
Yeah.
That's how I feel inside and out.
That's good.
Just like a circular mouth that can't close, big buggy eyes, and I'm just like in a latex suit wandering in the desert with my family.
Yeah, and you're always putting your hands in the going woo, making your hands.
Oh yeah, and
the
they whistle.
That they do to kind of the whistle.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about the whistle. Is there any whistling in Scott Pilgrim?
I don't think so.
Oh, damn it! Fuck, I thought I had one.
I can't think of any.
No, man, I like really couldn't find much on the suits, but they were puppeteered, especially the baby. The baby was all puppets. There wasn't a person in there.
He has a name,
Mac.
The titular Mac.
But Mac, your name can't be an acronym. They're all Macs.
Yeah, they are all our Macs. Yeah,
they're all mysterious alien creatures. So it's kind of I feel like that's a misnomer because it's like, oh, it's Mac and me, but it's like actually there's like 3 or 4 Macs. So Macs and me.
What are your thoughts on the ending where they all kind of get American citizenship and they're all wearing suits and everybody just treats them like normal people?
Yeah, they're doing the citizenship like oath. I honestly, I laughed out loud during that scene, but from the movie, not from the fucking riffing from Mystery Science Theater.
Right.
I loved it. I was shocked. I didn't really understand where the shot was going. I was like, what is happening? And then it just reveals them slowly with a beautiful pan. And I was like, this is cinema.
And there also
somebody phoned Martin Scorsese because I found some cinema for him to watch.
Also, all the humans kiss the weird alien skin.
Yeah,
like they're all the aliens are wearing human clothes, and then the humans go up to them and like kiss them on the cheek and the weird head and stuff. And it's like you don't need to do that. They don't know what this means.
It's like a physical version of ASMR. They just want to like get their lips on that. What it seems like simultaneously smooth and super rough flesh.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? Like there's just the biological curiosity to be like, what do they feel like on my mouth? You know what I mean? Like babies are putting their fingers in their mouths. Yeah. They need a pacifier. Even adults have those sort of, inclinations at times.
Specifically you?
Shut up.
Okay, let's go through some similarities. Let's just run through these.
Oh, actually, there's one. Can I read a review?
Yes.
So, the Washington Post, Richard Harrington wrote, in fact, Mac and me could just as well have been called OT, the other terrestrial. So frequent and clumsy are its references to ET, the extraterrestrial. Forget about calling home. ET, call lawyer.
Whoa.
Isn't that fun?
That's a pretty fun review. It's also from that era of time where movie reviewers are like, it's my job to be just vicious.
Yeah, and eviscerate these movies.
Yeah.
This children's movie.
Yeah, and they thought that they had to be so clever.
Yeah. I don't read reviews. Are they not like that anymore?
I haven't really read a movie review like that in a long time. Like even if you go to rogerebert.com and you just see all the people who work for that website, who are not the titular Robert Ebert. May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are just generally kind of nice, whereas Ebert used to try and like get a couple of digs in every once in a while because he was a funny guy.
All right, some similarities. Start us off, Mike.
Well, both movies feature titular characters.
Yeah.
And it is a titular character versus the world. Because
yes.
That's a good comparison.
Italian chef kiss.
Yeah, because Mac is like, he's a fish out of water in a world that was never meant for him, right?
Yeah.
And then, Scott Pilgrim versus the World is the title of the movie. And he's kind of like against everybody, kind of. Who doesn't believe in him. And the person who he needs to believe in himself the most, himself.
Preach, Mike, preach.
So yeah, there's one for you.
That's great. So I'm gonna take you on a little journey. Okay, both films are both fantasy sci-fi films. Okay, but they're also both musicals.
Go on.
So they're both sci-fi fantasy films in that there's sort of like fantastical, bizarro things that happen, crazy action, unbelievable stuff, one might say. But they're also musicals because Scott Pilgrim has multiple songs that happen throughout the film, and that's part of the narrative. And there's like a whole dance number in Mac and Me.
Yeah, that's right, at the McDonald's.
Yeah, so they're both basically they're the exact same genre, but not only one genre. They're both the same smorgasbord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's fun. Isn't that fun?
It is very fun.
I'm having fun.
I'll build.
Oh
off,
yeah.
I'll build off of that one. Both have a scene where characters go to the hottest live show in town. Scott Pilgrim, they go to the Clash at Demon Head concert or whatever, and at Mac and Me, apparently the hottest place to be is that McDonald's. Because there's like people breakdancing outside, like everybody's listening to music and just getting down. It's like, I've never been to a McDonald's like that.
Well, you know what? I will say McDonald's was a different thing back then.
Oh yeah.
They literally would have staff dressed up as those characters, fucking walking around and telling your kid to clean up, you know?
Yeah, it was like, I remember it in the 80s. It definitely felt like a magical place to go.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now it's
now
kind of
McDonald's
depressing place.
is soul crushing. Yeah. It's like walking into an Apple store, but there's just poo particles on everything.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it's really
interesting.
Yeah, really. Wow, that's a hot take, Bob. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember reading a report about the touchscreen things that they use now for ordering food, and they did a test. This is probably true of most things, but they were like, they found poo particles across. They examined like 20% of the McDonald's in North America or in America or something, and like 85% of them had poo particles on the touch screens.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, if it ain't one pandemic, it'll be another one where everyone has pink eye.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, that's great. So both films also they have sort of bizarre romances or like clunky depictions of romance.
Yeah.
I'd say they're both very awkward. Like the older brother and the neighbor, older sister, who works at the titular McDonald's.
Yes. Is it a titular McDonald's?
Was Mac not short for McDonald's?
That's what I see. Yes, I wondered
Mac
about
and me,
that.
McDonald's and me.
I feel like that had to be a part of it. They're like, let's name him this so that it reminds people of the Big Mac.
Yeah, Big Mac Donald.
Yeah, and also the aliens, like they were so ugly, they just kind of like looked like somebody had ate him Big Mac and shat it out into an alien character. It just looked so rancid.
They just gave shit to just the creation of everything in your body going wrong from eating a bunch of McDonald's, and then this creature comes out and it's horrific, but also can whistle like nobody's business.
Well, also,
it's just walking around looking for Coca-Cola. Bunch of coke heads. That's what I say.
Truly.
Coke heads. Yeah.
They love the stuff.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, pretty clunky romance. And then, of course, like, Scott Pilgrim, the whole film is predicated on his awkward romance and his sort of indecision and his, his quirky charm.
So quirky.
So maybe both films have quirky, lanky, blonde boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, I would say there's characters stalking a manic pixie in both movies.
Oh,
whereas
yeah.
In, Scott Pilgrim, he's stalking a manic pixie dream girl, as they call them.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quirky woman who changes her hair color every day, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Ramona Flowers is like really, she's very quirky and whatnot. But in Mac and Me, the manic pixie is Mac because he's manic and he's kind of like a weird little magical creature.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're trying to catch him always.
Both films are based off of pre-existing IP.
Nice.
Okay, so Scott Pilgrim, obviously a graphic novel, came first. And I think it's undeniable that Mac and Me wouldn't exist without both E.T., McDonald's, and Coca-Cola.
That's right, yeah.
So the intellectual property is a little more indirect with Mac and Me, but it's also even more in your face.
A little bit,
than Scott Pilgrim.
I guess kind of on that note, both of the movies kind of play on 80s nostalgia. In that Mac and Me came out in the 80s, so I guess that wasn't its intention. It was just kind of like, this is now. But now when you watch it, it's like the music is so 80s, the fashion is so 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Scott Pilgrim, there's so many video game references to the 80s. Like Final Fantasy, Legend of Zelda, all these things.
Yeah.
Super Mario. Also, in both movies, there's a big department store featured in one of the scenes.
Oh.
Because they go to, there's like a big set piece in Sears in Mac and Me, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Where the agents are like rushing into the Sears or something like that. And then the Scott Pilgrim, they don't go inside, but there's Honest Ed's is in the background of a lot of shots.
Yeah.
In the comic, they go in Honest Ed's, but not in the movie.
Interesting.
I think there's a battle in Honest Ed's in the comic, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, cool.
So that would have been a very, very similarity where there's a battle inside of a department store.
Yeah, I mean, put Stranger Things in there too, and you've pretty much got her made, you know?
Yeah.
Another similarity is the main character has to basically get out of trouble being chased or pursued by an arbitrary villain.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Scott Pilgrim, he doesn't need to fight all these ex-boyfriends, but he does have to. But there's no explanation for it.
Yeah.
And similarly, I don't really know why the Macs are getting vilified throughout the movie and are being chased.
Because they're aliens.
Quite literally illegal aliens.
Yeah.
Wow, this must be like a really intense parable for immigration.
Oh, well, maybe.
I feel like you could definitely read into it if you wanted, because they're like aliens, they get citizenship, they're pursued by some sort of government agency.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting. I wonder, you know, so the director grew up in the UK and then emigrated with his family to work in film. I wonder if that was his intention.
I wonder, yeah.
I doubt it, but
wait, he's so the director is from the UK?
Yeah. Oh my God, both films have UK directors.
There you go. There's one.
Oh my God. Sorry, I took that from you, but
oh no, we both stumbled.
Good
upon
point.
It. I didn't know that the guy was from the UK.
Yeah. He moved, I think, in his like teen years. He moved to the States. But yeah. Anyways, so the main character has to basically like battle an arbitrary villain that really doesn't need to be there, nor is explained well.
I don't think they say where Gideon or Ramona is from, but they say that they're American. Maybe they're from Chicago.
Interesting. Yeah.
It would probably be from that area.
If they're from Chicago, then both films have characters from Chicago.
Yeah, well, let's just say that.
Yeah. Nice. And let the haters figure it out on the internet.
Yeah, haters.
Yeah. Do you have any other similarities?
Yeah, I only have a couple more. There's a desert at the end of the movie.
Oh, shit.
Because in the Scott Pilgrim, he goes into, when he like dies, he goes into that weird desert land that is in his mind that Ramona uses to do a shortcut.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a desert at the end of the movie, and that's the same as in Mac and Me when they go to the desert, the literal desert. Right. So there's that. Also in both movies, the main character, the titular character, dies and comes back to life.
Oh my God, you're right.
Well, no, actually, no. It's not the titular character. Mac doesn't die, does he? But the little boy dies.
No, Mac doesn't die.
The male protagonist dies.
Yes. Yeah.
And is brought back to life.
Man. Dark stuff. Yeah, I was reading about that. Like he dies in Mac and Me very briefly or whatever after that huge explosion. And I think they had two versions. And I think there's one version where he literally dies and doesn't get revived.
Right.
Yeah, which is super dark. And they tested it and they were like, ooh, this is not working. This is such a bummer.
Why would
a film that's already sad.
Yeah, why would they end a kid's movie like that?
Well, because they're trying to push the envelope. A movie about illegal aliens, government intervention. What is it to be American? You know, it's all this heavy-hitting stuff.
Truly.
If anything, Scott Pilgrim's more of a fluff piece than Mac and Me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just in terms of like what is Scott Pilgrim even about?
I think there's like kind of a listlessness and lack of purpose that a lot of, North American males feel.
Right. Like
And-
us two podcasters.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And so for whatever reason, that's like an interesting thing to explore, which I'm not 100% in agreement of, but yeah. So not really the same thing though as Mac and Me, which is exploring really important issues like immigration,
I think so.
reform and stuff.
Yeah, it's heavy, man. Now that I think about it, that movie's kind of really makes you think, puts things in perspective.
Also like how McDonald's is the center of the world, it seems like in America.
But it's odd because the depiction is so positive.
I know.
Part of the proceeds or the box office for Mac and Me went to the Ronald McDonald House.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean, obviously not much because it didn't make very much money, but the intention was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was basically it for my list. I don't
same.
know. Oh, wow. Oh, crisp. What a crisp. Hot ending. Cold open, hot ending.
So crisp.
Piping hot.
Ah, so crisp.
Do you think you're going to read the graphic novels again for Scott Pilgrim? Are they like a thing that you revisit, or was it like a one and done?
No, I'll reread them. I haven't read them in a long time, actually. So actually, after watching the movie, I was like, I gotta read these comics again.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll read them this week.
If I personally illustrate and draw, or what? If I personally illustrate and write Mac and Me graphic novel,
yes,
would you read it?
Of course I would.
Really?
Why would I not?
You just seems like something you wouldn't do.
Well, I would though.
Just to hurt my feelings. You'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll read it. And then you never do. And I'm like, oh, I made it for you, Mike.
I'd be interested to see your interpretation of the lore of Mac and Me.
I just make it really political and heavy and extremely left wing.
Yeah. I mean, it's in there. So you just got to extract it,
Exactly. Well put.
Yeah. It seems in favor of immigration.
It is. It's pro-immigration. That's what's so weird. But it's also pro-corporate America.
Yeah.
It's really conflicting because it's like big private business is a positive thing. Look, everybody's dancing.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's like pro-immigration and like government intervention should be reduced.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, really, really fascinating movie.
Yeah, I think you might be the only person who's like had those
I want to write
takeaways.
a dissertation on it now.
Please do. I dare you to. I actually dare you to.
Just 1,000 pages, just ripping this movie into like a new frontier of intellectual, wanking.
People will be like, "Oh yeah, we gotta have to reconsider Mac and Me," and then it becomes like a new modern classic because of you.
Not all heroes wear capes. You know what I mean?
Truly, Black Panther specifically doesn't at all.
Yeah. Well, very good. Any closing thoughts or ideas or things or?
Oh, actually, here's a great connection.
Oh,
I just thought of this. This is actually really good. Paul Rudd, he plays Ant-Man. And he always would show that clip from Mac and Me on Conan O'Brien of the kid going off the cliff in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
And Edgar Wright was supposed to, he like wrote Ant-Man. He wrote it like an Ant-Man script. He was supposed to make the Ant-Man movies. So there's like a connection to Mac and Me between the two of them, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and he was working on the scripts for Ant-Man, but then he started working on Scott Pilgrim instead. So he took a break from the Ant-Man stuff.
That's
There's
cool.
like an Ant-Man connection, I guess. I don't know.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I guess like there's a lot of Marvel, soon-to-be Marvel actors when the movie came out. And then another Marvel actor was repping Mac and Me for 15 years.
Yeah.
Actually, 20 years.
Mac and Me is connected to the Marvel universe.
Yeah, it actually might be inside of the MCU.
It might be, yeah. The Mac cinematic universe.
That's good stuff, man. That's really good, Mike. Wow. You're a smart cookie.
Well, yeah, it's just taking pop culture, minutia, and it's meaningless. Like everything.
Yeah. What is life?
What is life? That's what this podcast really asks.
Yeah. Well, great. That was like a real nice, spicy
Epi.
one to dump right at the end. That was sick.
Thank you. All right. So I guess that's maybe the end of the episode.
No. Say the line. This feels over.
This feels over. Yeah, right. Okay. So this feels over. Thanks everybody for listening. We're back after a 1 week hiatus. So thanks.
Sorry. I went binge drinking for a week, everybody. I pretty much derailed our entire. Oh, God. Let me die. I just derailed the entire show. But Mike is very patient, very friendly. This was his birthday gift to me. Yes. Was me bailing multiple times on this recording.
Totally fine.
But we did it, baby. We did it.
Woohoo.
Sick. Well, see you next week.
See you next week, canines. Bye.
Keep salivating.